Hi everyone, this is my final episode in the Paul Thomas Anderson series I've been doing. It's a rather gloomy day here in Chicago. Perfect opportunity to review a rather gloomy film called The Master. Before I get to that though, I wanted to first acknowledge the winner of the little contest. I've been dropping clues in each of my PTA videos, and the first person to correctly guess who the mystery director is unfairly won. He actually submitted his guess after just one video, after I had stated just one clue. Sharp guy. Of course, he's not the only one to guess correctly. There were 3 others, so good on all of you. And of course, this means that in between my Robert Zemeckis director series in October and my Quentin Tarantino director series in December, I shall be covering the work of David Lynch, who has directed 10 feature films. In addition to that, I will also be looking at his television series Twin Peaks. So we had that to look forward to. I also wanted to give a shout out to this guy right here, jimgisriel. I've been enjoying his review videos for several months now. I believe he was on one of the collaborations I'm subscribed to. Can't remember offhand which one it is exactly. But he's been doing some very good reviews, which I've been watching faithfully for a while now. And as soon as I got back from The Master, I watched his video, and I watched a few other videos that I've been putting off, and read Roger Ebert's review. So now I have to state my opinion, which is not easy, because as jimgisriel says in his video, it is unlikely that anyone will really truly get this movie after just one viewing. And I suppose that's true, but I'm not eager to see this movie a second time just yet. As I said, this is sort of a grim movie. The main character is extremely troubled. Joaquin Phoenix plays a guy named Freddie Quell who's just gotten back from fighting in World War II. He drinks a lot. He gets into fights. He's very sort of temperamental and impulsive. He gets into some trouble, and he ends up running off and stowing away on a boat that carries Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, Lancaster Dodd, his wife Peggy, and a lot of their friends and acquaintances, because his daughter is getting married on this boat. So when Dodd finds Freddie, he takes a liking to him and invites him to join his little movement, I guess you could say, called The Cause. A lot of characters refer to him as Master, and he is the founder of this movement called The Cause, which is sort of a psychological growth movement, I guess you could say. I spent some time, about 10 years ago or so, in a group that did sort of therapeutic processing. The processing of old wounds, psychological trauma, and how that affects a person's present-day life and how they behave. And this is similar to that. But it also is steeped in a belief about the origins of mankind, which are whimsical, to say the least. And there are some people that object to some of the ideas that Dodd is putting forth in his movement. And when they do, Freddie springs into action and beats them up. He's got a pretty quick temper, and he's got a lot of troubles, as I said. The wife of Dodd is played by Amy Adams, of course. And she accompanies him everywhere. He goes basically from city to city, visiting people who are part of his movement, and speaking semi-publicly about it. He's written a couple of books. So there isn't really a real sort of ABC plot in this movie. Normally in a film you have a clear objective for the main character or the main characters to achieve, stop the bomb from going off before it kills everyone, stop the bad guys from doing what they're doing, win the race, or build the tower, whatever. It's there's some objective, and there really doesn't seem to be any sort of clear-cut objective in this movie at all. Joaquin Phoenix's character is just sort of struggling with trying to, the demand that society places on him to be civil and to be calm and to interact a civilized manner with people, and his impulses just lash out sometimes and follow his temperament. It's been suggested that Dodd likes Freddy because he is like sort of the ultimate challenge, the ultimate case to take on and see if he could get this guy to acclimate himself with the world through his processing, as they say. My favorite scene in the movie involves a scene on that ship in the first half where Dodd suggests, how about we try a little processing? And it turns into this intense conversation between the two of them where he demands that he answer every one of his questions right away and not even blink. And this is effective for getting really to the truth of the matter, as this is similar to a technique that I experienced in this group from years ago when I was part of it. If you have to answer immediately and can't look away and have to, keep from blinking, whatever, then all your concentration is on maintaining that and not making up stuff or choosing your words carefully. You just allow the truth just kind of comes out of your mouth. You just can't help but just blurt it out. Especially if you have to speak quickly. You don't have time to think of a lie or even just to fudge details or whatever. So that's a really intense scene. It's a really, really good scene right there. There's another scene much later on in the movie in which Dodd and his entourage pay a visit to Laura Dern's house. Laura Dern's a member of the cause. She's very devoted, so she hosts Dodd and everyone with him in her home. And there's a series of scenes in which Dodd is processing Freddie Quell. He does one-on-one processing. Amy Adams processes him at one point. There's a three-way process involving him and one other person, his son-in-law, Dodd's son-in-law. And then there's a scene in which he has Freddie basically walk from one end of the room to the other, touch the wall, describe it, touch the pane of glass and describe it, and go back and forth until he's describing something that isn't completely related to the wall or the pane of glass but himself. Now, I like this idea, but the way that the scene is done I really wasn't pleased by, because they kept cutting back and forth between these 3 or 4 different processes that are all sort of going on simultaneously without ever really showing the entirety of any one of them, which I found kind of frustrating. I wanted to see more of what was going on there because that was really interesting to me. So then as the movie goes on, things kind of sour between Freddie and Dodd, and especially between Freddie and Dodd's wife. They just don't think they're making any progress with him. Peggy says maybe he's beyond help, maybe we can't do anything to help him. And so there's a separation there, and there's a reunion later on in England. But yeah, as I said, this really isn't plot driven, and there's a bunch of times throughout the movie when I thought, is it ending now? No, it's not. Okay. Oh, is this the last scene? No, it's not. I had a similar response to the Tree of Life, actually. It's funny because in the past, not necessarily in the series, as I recall, but in the past I've complained about PTA kind of trying to become some other director. Like in Boogie Nights, he was trying to be Scorsese, it appeared. And in Magnolia, it was like he was trying to be Robert Altman, perhaps. And in this movie, it's like he's trying to be Terrence Malick. At least that's how it feels. There's really, really, really good acting in this movie, especially from Joaquin Phoenix. He always speaks out of one side of his mouth. This side of his lips are pressed together all the time, and frequently his one eye is like pinched closed while the other one is wide. And he's always like hunched over, and his arms are, at weird angles, and he's just projects this instability in every single scene. And at one point, he and Dodd get arrested, and they're thrown into adjoining cells, and while Dodd is just standing there very calmly, kind of like being okay with the situation, Freddie is tearing his cell apart. And this is all done in one shot. He gets dragged into the cell, kicking and screaming all the way, and then he starts bashing in his bunk and hitting it with his head and then stomping the toilet to pieces. And this is all in one shot, no cuts at all. It's impressive. It's impressive. But really hard to connect with in a lot of levels. And there's in the last scene that I'm not going to spoil a lot of how this movie ends. It's kind of hard to do anyway without because as I said, there really isn't a real conclusion to what happens here. But there is a last sort of exchange between Dodd and Freddie, and Dodd sings Freddie a song. and I completely missed the significance of this. Is this a song that was heard earlier in the movie? Is there something in the lyrics that is significant to their relationship or something like that? I don't know, I just couldn't get a handle on it. And at one point, you know, at that point, I was sort of lost. The movie just kind of lost me. Or I lost the movie, whatever it was going. And maybe with subsequent viewings, I'll understand a little bit better. But it's far from my favorite PTA movie at this point. I'd say I don't like it quite as much as Magnolia, although I think it's better made than Magnolia. I'm used to Magnolia. I'm accustomed to how that movie works. Whereas this one I'm not as accustomed to, and maybe with subsequent viewings I'll end up liking it more. But I don't think I'll end up liking it as much as even Punch Drunk Love. So there you are. That's my review of The Master. For those of you who've been doing responses, I appreciate it. The Walking Fish just did a video response on Boogie Nights. And you can find that in the playlist along with all the other videos in this series and anyone else who's attached videos to the ones I've done on PTA for the series. And thanks very much for all the comments that you've left me. I appreciate it. And I look forward to doing another one. I'll be starting my next director series pretty darn soon because I've got to finish it in time for the screening of Flight, which is directed by Robert Zemeckis at the Chicago International Film Festival. So, thanks very much again. Appreciate it. Again, I welcome any responses as far into the future as YouTube videos exist. So, have a good one. Later.